Hello Saturn class, this is today's English lesson. We've got two LOs. The first one, as a writer I can box up the story. We will do that together as a class. I will help you with that. The second task, the LO is, as a writer I can use empty words. That will be for you to complete, and I will explain what empty words are later on in this video. Okay, so first of all we're going to go to the Zelda's Claw story which we've been learning. So I'd like to think about those actions and do the actions and try and read the story at the same time as me. You could try it on your own without me reading. Otherwise you can listen to me read it and complete the actions. Miss Dixon did make a video last week, so you can go and have a look at one of those if you're not sure. So I'll read it, you complete the actions please. All night thunder growled overhead. Zelda crouched in the darkness, staring. Wind lashed the glistening tarmac and the streetlights flickered. Zelda shivered. Where could she escape from the rain? At that moment, Zelda heard something crawling along the pavement, hidden by shadows. Silently, a vague shape slipped into a doorway. A green eye flickered. Zelda's fur prickled as she watched. What was it? Without thinking, Zelda leaped across the road, dashed under a lorry, and crouched as still as stone. Silently, the shadow of an enormous cat paced through the darkness, slinking along the rain-washed pavements. Zelda shivered. Slowly, the great rain cat drew closer and closer. Zelda could hear its claws scratching upon the tarmac and see its green eyes glittering. Had it seen her? At that moment, Zelda could bear it no longer. Leaping out from under the lorry, she shot back across the rain-swept road and leaped over the wall. She was alone. The rain cat had not followed her. Zelda was safe. For now. Okay, so that's a story which includes lots of suspense. We've got something called speed words here. These are certain key words which came up in that text, which I'd like you to understand and use in your own writing next week. So we've got crouched, so when something crouches it stoops or bends low, or so as an animal preparing to spring or shrinking with fear. Flickered is a nice word. The candle flickered in the wind and went out. Vague, now it's a very complicated explanation there. If something's vague, it's just not very clear. So a shadow could be vague. You could give vague instructions which aren't clear. There's an example here, vague shapes in the dark, vague murmurs behind a door. Slinking is a nice word. It means to move smoothly and quietly with gliding steps in a stealthy or sensuous manner. So the fox came slinking through the bracken. And then prickled, to cause a prickling or tingling sensation. Okay, it's a strange feeling you might get. So yeah, the hairs on the back of your neck might prickle if you're nervous about something, for example. Right, just a recap on the toolkit for a suspense story. You went through most of these last week, so short, snappy sentences. So, for example, Zelda shivered. Okay, sometimes a short sentence can be quite powerful, only when used now and then. The main character in a dangerous place, so that's what you'll be doing for your story next week. To use empty words, so we'll be looking at those later on in this video. Use powerful verbs, you should have done that last week. Sentences with three events, or sentences of three I call them. So, for example, she ran down the lane, turned the corner and screamed. 1, 2, 3 things happen. It's really good for action, for speeding up the action in a sentence. And ellipses, that's the ... which creates a bit of like at the end of a paragraph. They're quite powerful, aren't they, for a cliffhanger. And here's a reminder of some other grammar that we've noticed in Zelda's Claw. So fronted adverbials, commas, question marks, hyphen, dash, and ellipses. Right, today's group task is to box up the text. The boxing up is, well, we did it in Elf Road, didn't we? So the idea is when you box up a story, you look at a story that's been written already and you break it into its 5 main sections. And at the moment we try to stick to these sections: an opening, a build-up, the problem, the resolution, and the ending. Okay, so we look at the original story and we try and break it up into its 5 sections. And then we do this thing which I think children find tricky, but it's where we generalize it. It's where we take out the details, but we keep the structure of the story. And the reason we do this is so you've understood what the main things happening in the story are, but you've taken out the details, for example, the names of the characters, and then you're left with a structure which you can then use for your own story. So you keep the structure, you keep the main events, but the details are removed. Okay, so we call it generalization. So we're going to box up the story of Zelda's Claw and then just generalize it into a general suspense story. Okay, so we need to summarize each section. So I'm going to help you with this, but you can pause the video and have a go at some of these bits yourself. So the opening or the introduction. We've got Zelda is in the darkness and she's scared and looking for a place to hide. Now to generalize that, we need to take out the precise details. So I've got here the main character is in a dangerous place looking for safety. So they're not necessarily in the dark. It's not a character called Zelda, but they're in a dangerous place and they're looking for safety. The build-up is where the story starts to get interesting. So for the Zelda story, Zelda hears something hidden by shadows. Zelda is scared by the thing and wonders what it could be. So I'd like you just to pause the video here, and how could you take out the detail and generalize that? So keeping the main points but taking out the minor details. So pause the video here, have a go at that, and then we'll see what I've done. Okay, so to generalize it, I've just said main character hears something but can't see it. The main character is scared and wonders what it is. Okay, the next section is the problem. So I'd like you to have a think about what the problem is in the Zelda story. Okay, and then try and generalize it. So pause the video here and have a go at that. So what I've done is, the problem is Zelda tries to get away from the monster. The monster reveals itself as a cat, but Zelda is still scared. And to generalize it, we've said, the main character attempts to escape the monster. Monster reveals itself. Main character still scared, or even more scared. And then have a go at summarizing that resolution. So what do you think the resolution is in the Zelda story? So you can pause the video here and have a go at that and generalize it. Okay, so I've put the monster comes closer to Zelda. Zelda doesn't know if it has seen her. And then to generalize it, I've said the monster comes closer to main character. Main character doesn't know if they've been seen. Okay, and I want you to have a go at the final section, please. That is the ending. What would you put for the ending? Let's just cover that up. Pause the video here. And I've put Zelda tries to get away again. Finally alone, not followed, safe for now. And then to generalize it, the main character tries to get away again. Monster doesn't follow. Cliffhanger, they're safe for now. So all these bits here, the bits you're going to add detail to in your own story, when we come to that later. Okay, so that was the group task. The individual task is on empty words. So I've got here in blue some empty words: it, thing, creature, shadow, something, someone. What do you notice about these words? What do you think an empty word could be? It's quite tricky, this. Have a think though. Pause the video here. Well, an empty word is a word that's used in a text which creates a bit of mystery. It gets the reader guessing. It gets them wondering what's going on. It sort of fires the imagination of the reader. Okay, if you said something was coming down the corridor, we don't know what it is. Okay, and it makes it more scary. A creature, it doesn't really say what it is. It doesn't tell you what animal it is. A shadow, well, it's the shadow of something or someone, but it gets you wondering what it could be, doesn't it? So empty words are really good for suspense stories, just to create a bit of fear. Okay. So what I want you to do here is have a look and see if you can find any empty words in this text. So I'll just, you might want to pause it here to read the top half, and then we've got the bottom half here. Okay, so pause it here and look for the empty words in this story here. Okay, now that you've done that, well, I've highlighted some here. So at that moment, Zelda heard something. That's an empty word. Okay, we don't know what it is, it's just something. Shadows create a bit of mystery. What's it a shadow of? A vague shape. A shape we don't know quite what it is. It doesn't really tell you what it is, it's just something coming. And then we've got another shadow here, haven't we? Okay, so that is all effective uses of empty words. So it says the author is using empty words to describe the monster. By using empty words, it is not telling you what the monster is, but it is inferring that it is something scary. Okay, so it's creating fear. Right, well, your task today, whoops, ignore that one, is to write a paragraph about each of these pictures. So I want you to write 2 paragraphs, 1 for each picture, and I want you to make sure you use empty words. So I've got some examples of empty words here. but you might be able to think of some of your own yourself. So it's words that don't give away much detail, that get the reader guessing. Okay, and I've got an example here. Little Red Riding Hood was happily walking through the forest to Grandma's until she heard something lurking in the shadows. It sounded scary, as if the creature was coming to get her. Okay, so there's an example of all these empty words in a paragraph about Little Red Riding Hood. I want you to write your own one about Little Red Riding Hood, and then another one based on this picture here, and see if you can use these empty words and some of your own. Okay, so write those down. I'll create a worksheet. You can upload it there, or you can take a photo of your writing. Right, good luck with that, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.